Right now, millions of people are waking up and, deliberately avoiding the absolute cheapest, most accessible food in their kitchen.
Because the internet told them it's toxic sugar.
Exactly. We are, of course, talking about the banana. Because, you know that feeling at like 7:15 a.m., you're rushing out the door, one shoe is on, your keys are missing, and you're just staring at the fruit bowl trying to figure out what you can possibly eat in the next 30 seconds.
But there's always that hesitation, right?
Right. Because you've heard the conflicting advice. Like, some people treat the morning banana as this absolute, non-negotiable staple, while an entirely different camp avoids it like the plague. They claim it'll instantly derail your metabolic health.
Yeah, it really is one of the most persistent nutritional contradictions out there. I mean, we're dealing with a piece of fruit that is culturally beloved, highly accessible, and yet constantly demonized by these, modern diet trends.
Friends that just villainize any form of carbohydrate.
Completely, regardless of its actual context.
So today, our mission for this deep dive is to cut through that specific noise. We're looking at a really comprehensive breakdown by Dr. Alan Mandel, and the goal here is to separate the biological facts from the social media fiction.
We want to uncover what is actually happening inside your body on a microscopic level when a banana is the very first thing you eat.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the physical state your body is in the exact moment you open your eyes.
Right, because to fully grasp the impact of that morning banana, you really have to look at the baseline environment it's entering. When you wake up after sleeping for 6 to 8 hours, your body has been in a prolonged fasting state.
Which we kind of forget, right?
We do. We tend to conceptualize sleep as this passive shutdown, like turning off a car. But biologically, it's a highly active period. Your body has just completed a massive overnight maintenance shift.
Yeah, while you're unconscious, your system is still just burning through resources to keep the underlying architecture intact. Like the liver spends the entire night dripping its stored glucose into your bloodstream just to keep your brain functioning.
And your heart beating. So by the time your alarm goes off, those hepatic glycogen stores your liver's energy reserves. They're significantly depleted.
Because your brain has spent the night consolidating memories.
Exactly. And your immune system has been repairing cellular damage, and all of that requires a steady stream of energy. So when you wake up, your system is essentially running on fumes.
The internal tank is just empty.
It is. And the very first food you introduce doesn't just fill your stomach, it actually dictates the physiological and hormonal tone for the next several hours.
I always think of it like picking up a smartphone that you forgot to plug in overnight. You hit the screen, it's incredibly dim, the battery icon is just blinking red at 1%, and the operating system is sluggishly demanding an immediate power source.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
So if the brain is in that 1% battery state at 7 a.m., I'm guessing the banana's main appeal is how efficiently it can deliver that necessary charge.
It is entirely about the mechanics of quick energy delivery. Bananas are composed of natural carbohydrates that your digestive system can process with remarkable efficiency.
Like almost immediately.
Pretty much. The moment you take a bite, salivary enzymes begin breaking down those complex carbohydrates into simpler sugars. And then once it reaches the stomach and moves into the small intestine, those carbs are rapidly converted into glucose.
Which is the foundational currency of energy for your cells.
Right. And since the brain is the most resource-heavy organ we have, it gets first dibs on that newly minted glucose.
Makes sense.
What's fascinating here is precisely how the body prioritizes that delivery. I mean, the human brain accounts for roughly 2% of our total body weight, yet it consumes about 20% of our total daily energy.
Wow. 20%.
Yeah, and under normal conditions, it relies almost exclusively on glucose. It cannot store energy locally the way your muscles do. It requires a continuous, real-time supply from your bloodstream.
So when you eat that banana, your circulatory system acts like this dedicated express lane.
Exactly, routing that newly absorbed glucose straight across the blood-brain barrier to fuel your cognitive centers.
Which explains that very tangible sensation of the morning brain fog lifting.
Yeah.
Like you eat the banana, and within 10 or 15 minutes, the mental gears just start catching again. The lights come back on.
You're experiencing the direct biological result of restoring fuel to an organ that has basically been starved of it for 8 hours. The glucose hits the brain, allowing neurons to fire optimally, which translates into that immediate feeling of improved alertness.
Okay, wait, hold on, though. I really have to push back on this premise for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
If the entire goal is just getting glucose to the brain as fast as possible to cure that 1% battery state, why am I reaching for a banana instead of, like, a glazed donut, or a handful of gummy bears.
Ah, the classic sugar argument.
Right, because sugar is sugar when it hits the bloodstream, right? And a donut would deliver that glucose even faster. So why is the internet terrified of banana sugar? But we all inherently know the donut is the worst choice.
That is the crux of the entire debate. The fundamental misunderstanding comes from treating all sugar as biologically identical in how it enters the system.
Okay.
The glucose molecule itself might be the same, but the delivery mechanism, the packaging, changes everything. When you eat a glazed donut, you are consuming refined sugar isolated from any meaningful biological structure.
It's basically pre-digested. There's zero friction.
Zero friction. You swallow it, and a massive unbuffered wave of liquid sugar violently floods your small intestine and just spikes your blood glucose levels.
And then your pancreas panics.
It totally panics. It pumps out a massive wave of insulin to clear the sugar, and an hour later, your blood sugar plummets. You get the rush, followed by a crushing, exhausting crash.
But the sugar in the banana is different because it's locked inside a natural matrix.
Yes, it is packaged alongside water, essential minerals, vitamins, and most importantly, an abundance of soluble fiber.
And the fiber is the game changer here.
It completely alters the kinetic release of that sugar. When soluble fiber enters your stomach and mixes with water, it physically transforms into a thick, gel-like substance.
Wait, really? A gel?
Yeah, so it's creating a literal physical barrier. The glucose from the banana has to slowly navigate its way through this viscous gel before it can even reach the intestinal walls to be absorbed.
So it acts as a built-in biological brake pedal.
Precisely. This gel significantly delays gastric emptying, which is the rate at which food leaves your stomach. So instead of a violent flood of sugar entering your bloodstream, the fiber forces a slow, controlled, steady trickle.
Meaning your blood sugar rises gently.
Right. Your insulin responds proportionally, and you experience sustained energy rather than a spike and a crash.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because if we're talking about this fiber acting as a physical brake system in the upper digestive tract, we have to follow that fiber further down.
To the gut.
Exactly. It isn't just slowing down sugar absorption. It actually has a critical secondary mission once it reaches the lower intestine.
And we are just beginning to fully appreciate the complex world of the human microbiome. Bananas happen to be a phenomenal source of prebiotic fibers.
Prebiotics, not probiotics, right?
Correct. When you eat fermented foods like yogurt, you are ingesting probiotics, the actual live bacteria. But prebiotics are the specific types of indigestible plant fibers that serve as the primary food source for the beneficial bacteria already residing in your lower intestine.
So you're basically sending down high-quality fertilizer to feed the local ecosystem down there.
That's a great way to put it.
And feeding that ecosystem isn't just about avoiding an upset stomach, right? Those bacteria are essentially a control center for systemic health.
Oh, they influence almost every major system in your body. When you feed your microbiome these prebiotic fibers, the bacteria ferment them and produce byproducts called short-chain fatty acids.
And those fatty acids do what exactly?
They are heavily involved in regulating your immune response. They actively suppress chronic inflammation throughout the body, and they even communicate with your central nervous system to help regulate mood and synthesize neurotransmitters.
Wow. And Dr. Mandel points out a very specific detail here regarding the exact type of banana you should be looking for to maximize this gut benefit.
Right. The ripeness matters tremendously.
He heavily emphasizes the value of the slightly green banana.
Yes, because the biochemical profile of a banana changes dramatically as it ripens. When a banana is slightly green-like, before the starches have fully converted into simple sugars and it gets spotty, it contains a remarkably high concentration of a compound called resistant starch.
Resistant starch, it's almost like a VIP escort. Like normal starches get stopped by the bouncers in the small intestine, right? They get broken down by enzymes, absorbed into the blood, and that's the end of their journey.
Right.
But resistant starch essentially flashes a VIP badge, walks right past the velvet rope of the small intestine completely intact, and heads straight down into the colon.
Because it physically resists human digestion. Your body literally cannot break it down in the upper GI tract.
That's wild.
So by the time that intact, highly complex starch reaches the colon, it becomes an absolute feast for your microbiome.
And when those bacteria ferment that resistant starch, that's when we see the compounding benefits for our metabolism.
Exactly. The fermentation of resistant starch is incredibly powerful. It not only fortifies the cellular lining of the colon, but it actually triggers the release of specific satiety hormones that travel up to the brain and signal that you are full.
So by choosing a banana with just a hint of green on the peel, you're actively manipulating your hunger hormones to keep you satisfied much longer into the afternoon.
It's a very simple but effective biological hack.
Okay, so we've got the gut fortified and feeling full, and the brain fed with a steady stream of glucose. But that fiber matrix is essentially just the delivery vehicle and the gut fertilizer.
Right, there's more to the story.
What's actually being absorbed into the bloodstream during all of this is where the real whole body benefits kick in, specifically the potassium.
The famous banana nutrient.
Exactly. I mean, I always just thought of potassium as the thing you eat to stop a muscle cramp after a long run.
Yeah.
But Dr. Mandel frames it as foundational for our daily baseline health.
And he's right. Bananas are famous for potassium, but the actual mechanism of what potassium does is rarely explained. Potassium is an essential electrolyte. It operates like a microscopic electrical conductor inside your body.
Meaning what, practically?
Every single time your heart beats, every time a neuron fires a signal in your brain, every time you contract a muscle to walk to your car, potassium is facilitating that electrical charge across the cellular membrane.
Wow. And its role in managing fluid balance seems particularly critical when you look at the modern diet. I mean, we're generally consuming massive amounts of sodium through processed food.
Oh, absolutely. The sodium to potassium ratio is one of the most vital metrics for cardiovascular health, and society is completely out of balance.
Because of the sodium.
Yeah. When you consume excess sodium, it pulls water into your blood vessels. Imagine turning up the flow on a garden hose without widening the hose itself. The physical pressure against the walls of those vessels increases dramatically.
And that is high blood pressure.
Exactly. And it causes immense wear and tear on your heart and arteries over time.
But the potassium from the morning banana enters the system and essentially acts as the biological counterweight to that sodium.
It initiates two distinct mechanical responses. First, potassium signals your kidneys to physically filter out that excess sodium and excrete it through your urine, pulling that excess water volume out of the bloodstream.
Okay, so it lowers the water pressure in the hose.
Right. And second, potassium acts as a vasodilator. It chemically signals the smooth muscle cells in the walls of your blood vessels to relax and widen.
So it's turning down the water pressure and widening the garden hose at the exact same time. It's actively de-stressing the cardiovascular system.
It is a profound mechanism for cardiovascular longevity, simply delivered through a piece of fruit.
That's incredible.
But the micronutrient profile extends well beyond physical plumbing. Dr. Mandel also shines a spotlight on vitamin B6, which tends to fly under the radar compared to potassium.
Yeah, you don't hear about B6 as much.
No, but it is arguably just as critical for that morning brain fog we discussed earlier.
Because the glucose provides the raw fuel for the brain, but the vitamin B6 is playing an entirely different role in cognitive function.
Exactly. Vitamin B6 acts as a vital coenzyme, essentially an ignition switch for a variety of metabolic processes. You can have all the glucose fuel in the world from the banana, but without adequate B6, your body struggles to efficiently metabolize those carbohydrates into ATP.
And ATP is the actual usable energy currency inside your cells.
Right. And since vitamin B6 is also foundational for synthesizing neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, that morning banana is quite literally giving your brain the chemical building blocks it needs to focus during your 9 a.m. meeting.
So it isn't just feeding the brain energy. It's providing the materials needed to regulate your mood and your attention span.
You are simultaneously supporting the physical mechanics of energy production and the chemical mechanics of emotional and cognitive regulation.
That is a lot happening from one piece of fruit.
And we aren't even done. While all of this energy synthesis and neurotransmitter production is happening, the banana is also deploying a variety of antioxidants and protective plant compounds like catechins and, interestingly, dopamine.
Wait, dopamine? Like the brain chemical?
Yeah, but when consumed from plants rather than synthesized in the brain, it actually acts as a potent antioxidant.
Antioxidants often get thrown around as a marketing buzzword, but they serve a highly mechanical purpose in defending the body.
Right. They operate as a cellular defense grid. Just the sheer act of breathing and metabolizing food creates unstable molecules called free radicals.
And those are bad.
Very bad. Over time, these free radicals bounce around and damage your cells, a process known as oxidative stress. You can picture it as biological rusting. It accelerates aging and degrades tissue.
But the antioxidants step in.
Right. They physically bind to those free radicals, neutralizing them before they can cause structural damage to your cells.
So what does this all mean? We've gone incredibly deep into the microscopic biology here. The gel-forming soluble fiber, the VIP-resistant starch, the vascular relaxation from potassium, the neurotransmitter synthesis from B6.
It's a lot of science.
It is. But when you pull all the way back to that 7115 a.m. moment, standing in the kitchen in a rush, how does this translate into practical application?
It highlights the supreme power of accessible simplicity. In the modern health and wellness landscape, we are constantly bombarded with aggressive marketing for highly engineered solutions.
Right, we're told we need $50 adaptogenic powder.
Or complicated biohacking supplements or morning routines that require 45 minutes of meal prep.
And the banana sits in direct opposition to all that.
Right.
It is naturally prepackaged. The thick peel keeps it completely sterile inside.
It doesn't require refrigeration, it doesn't require a blender, and it costs pennies. You grab it, you peel it, you eat it.
Zero friction.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the barrier to entry for a healthy habit dictates whether or not you will actually maintain it. Peeling a banana is a zero-friction habit. Yet, as we've just explored, that simple action initiates a highly complex, beneficial domino effect for your hormonal and metabolic rhythm for the remainder of the day.
You stabilize your blood sugar, you feed your microbiome, and you give your brain the exact fuel and chemical precursors it needs to function sharply.
And Dr. Mendel offers a fantastic pro tip for anyone looking to optimize this even further.
Oh, right, the protein pairing.
Yes, the banana is incredible on its own, but if you pair it with a natural protein source, you extend that runway of energy even further, adding protein layers, another metabolic brake pedal onto the digestion process.
So if the soluble fiber in the banana already slows the absorption of the natural sugars.
Adding a handful of almonds, a spoonful of natural peanut butter, or stirring it into some Greek yogurt slows gastric emptying even more.
You're basically ensuring that the gentle curve of glucose hitting your bloodstream is stretched out over several hours.
Which completely eliminates the chance of an erratic mid-morning sugar craving. It creates an incredibly robust, stable metabolic foundation for your morning, requiring barely any additional effort.
It fundamentally changes how you look at the fruit bowl. I mean, we started this deep dive exploring a simple, ubiquitous yellow fruit that most of us completely take for granted.
But when you look under the hood, you find a sophisticated biological matrix.
It's a rapid brain fuel delivery system buffered by a soluble fiber breaking mechanism. It provides highly targeted fertilizer for the gut microbiome via resistant starch, and it comes fully loaded with blood pressure-lowering minerals and mood-regulating vitamins.
And look, Dr. Mandel makes it clear that the banana is not a mythical miracle food. No single ingredient is going to cure every health ailment or outwork a chronically poor diet.
It's not magic.
But it stands as an undeniable powerhouse of whole food nutrition that requires absolutely zero effort to integrate into your life.
Because the biggest, most sustainable improvements to our health rarely come from extreme overhauls. They usually stem from the smallest, most unassuming daily choices, like choosing a piece of whole fruit over a packaged pastry when you only have 30 seconds to spare.
This raises an important question, though.
Oh, I love where this is going. Lay it on us.
We spent this entire deep dive unpacking how the packaging of a whole food, the intricate matrix of water, vitamins, and complex fiber, is exactly what makes its natural sugar healthy and usable.
Right, the physical structure dictates how our biology responds.
It makes you wonder, The next time you walk down the snack aisle at the grocery store, look closely at all the highly processed, boxed foods claiming to be healthy because they contain isolated vitamins, added fiber powders, or engineered energy blends.
Oh, wow. They're selling us the individual parts.
Exactly. How many of those products have completely stripped away the natural, complex biological packaging, only to synthetically re-inject the isolated nutrients back in to make a marketing claim?
That is wild to think about.
Are we constantly trying to trick our metabolisms with engineered fragmented ingredients when we could just trust the complete sophisticated matrix that nature already packaged perfectly inside a peel?
That is a phenomenal lens to view your food through. So tomorrow morning, when your internal battery is flashing at 1% and you're staring into your kitchen, look at your options with a new, critical eye.
Just ask yourself what your body actually needs.
Are you going to reach for an isolated, processed quick fix that spikes your system? Or are you going to reach for the complex, fiber-wrapped fuel that your brain and your gut are actually designed to process? The humble banana. Who knew? Have a great morning, everyone.